Welcome back to my next video. Today we're going to meet Robert, who lives in a 2006 Sprinter. We're going to learn all about Sprinters and whether you should get one, are there model years you shouldn't get, how will they work out for you, are they a good idea, bad idea. He's an expert, he has one, he did the research to find out for himself, and we're going to learn from him. It's always good to learn from someone who knows. So let's meet Robert and go from there. Hi Robert.
How you doing, Bob?
Good.
This is a 2006 Sprinter. It's built by Mercedes-Benz. This is a T1N model, and 06 was the last year of the pre-emission diesels. The desirable models are the 2004 through 2006. This is a it's a 140-inch wheelbase. They come in three lengths. You can get a 118 and a 156. That was the one that you see FedEx driving. The 118s, they handle very well. They have a very short turning radius, but when you put a 8,500 pound vehicle on a 118-inch chassis, they do tend to have a bit of a choppy ride. Properly maintained, these vehicles will go 500,000 miles. The maintenance is a little expensive. You have to use synthetic oil in them, and you buy the parts from Mercedes-Benz.
And how much is an oil change if you go and have it done?
About $129.
And if you do it yourself, you buy the parts?
I can do it for about $60, $70.
So it's still expensive, but it's within reason.
And yeah, you need to replace your fuel filters. They're about $56. These vehicles have a 2.7 liter 5-cylinder turbo diesel engine. Properly maintained, they're good for about 500,000 miles, and conservatively driven, you can get about 23 miles a gallon. They're very fuel efficient on the highway. This particular one is a 140-inch wheelbase with the super high ceiling, and there's just over 6 feet of height in it. Two of the things that were non-negotiable in a vehicle that I wanted was I had to be able to stand up, and there had to be a bed that was comfortable for two people.
So in your experience and in your learning, is there any year that you would not recommend people buy?
These vehicles were originally imported in 2002. The 2002 and 2003 models were mostly fleets by FedEx and DHL. The engines are a little bit simpler, but they did have problems with the EGR valves. The 4, 5, and 6 are the desirable years, and they're all pretty much the same.
And after that, in 2007?
2007, they went to the NCV 3 series, which has a 3-liter V6, and it's a completely different vehicle. I'm not real familiar with those, but from what I understand, once they get about 120, 130,000 miles on it, there tends to be problems with the emission systems. They tightened up the emission systems in 07, and they started putting particulate filters and diesel exhaust fluid tanks on them, and it's just a more complicated vehicle.
My understanding is out in 2007, the EPA just tightened the restrictions so much on diesel that they all tend to be really kind of touchy and difficult maintenance.
That's a fairly good assessment. Yes, I would agree with that.
Personally, I'm not recommending anyone buy a 2007 liter diesel of any kind, just because, well, you were saying you know someone who had to put $6,000 into his EGR.
According to an article I read online, and this guy actually owned a fleet of them, and that's what he said about it. He said these were totally bulletproof pieces of machinery, and the later models tended to be problematic.
So my recommendation is, if you can get a 2004 through 6 and it's in good shape, well maintained, and would you also say you should be able to do some of the work yourself?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I was a mechanic for 20 plus years, so I'm fairly familiar with what it takes to maintain a vehicle.
And how about finding someone to service it? Is that a problem with a Sprinter?
There's a lot of information online about Sprinters. There's a thing called George's Diesel blog, and there's a guy by the name of Dr. A, and he spells that with a K. And on the Sprinter forums, there's a lot of really useful information about how to maintain and how to solve, you know, what goes wrong with these vehicles is very predictable, and the mileage at which they will go wrong is fairly predictable, and the parts are easily available.
So you're not, say you're a person who does not do, you're not a diesel mechanic for sure, and you're probably not a mechanic at all. Can that person find people to work on a Sprinter?
Yeah, I would suggest if you're looking for a mechanic, you find somebody who's ASE certified. That's always a good first step.
Is that easy with a Sprinter?
Yeah.
My understanding is that there are a few dealers, and a lot of the dealers won't work on Sprinters, and so people are driving thousands of miles just to find somebody who'll work on their Sprinter. Is that not true?
You know, having only dealt with the parts departments in the Mercedes dealer, I really can't say. And again, all of the work that I've done on this, I've done myself.
Right. If you can do it yourself, these are ideal rigs.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
You need to understand something about the vehicle. And just walking around this event and talking to other people that have Sprinters, most of them seem somewhat knowledgeable about what's going on with their vehicles.
But my personal recommendation is if you're not knowledgeable and you're not willing to prepared to spend quite a bit of money on maintenance, this may not be the vehicle for you.
Well, from what I've gathered just talking to people, on the West Coast, these tend to fetch a lot more money than they do on the East Coast. I paid about $8,500 for this vehicle as a used truck that was originally a locksmith's vehicle, and it had 135,000 miles on it. I went over it pretty thoroughly. I did some cosmetic work, I did some mechanical work. Right now, I've been running it for the last 60,000 miles pretty much trouble-free. It's blown a couple of turbo hoses, but that's a common problem, and it's an easy fix.
Right, good. So if you know how to do it, it's great. If you don't know how to do it, it still may be good. You're just not so sure. You're not kind of iffy.
Pretty much the same could be said for any vehicle.
Yeah, once you get 150,000, so
Yeah,
you're looking at close to that.
Unless you got a brand new vehicle with a warranty on it, it helps if you know something about your car.
It sure does. That always helps. Yeah. Okay, well, would you mind if we took a look inside?
Not at all.
All right, let's take a look.
Let's start at the back because I have it all opened up. I started the build out by basically putting some 2x4s about 30 some inches high down the main ribs of the vehicle.
So you just lag screws or
they went
screws into the ribs.
Right into the metal, and on top of that I built a 3-section bed that can be removed easily should you care to, go move a upright piano.
Right, so you have a huge open area here.
And then there is space under the bed for bicycle storage or whatever you'd like to carry with you.
Right, that's just a huge open area. So huge you aren't even beginning to fill it.
And then with the vent fan running, you get nice breeze across in the summertime, and the doors fold back against the vehicle and they're held in place with magnets. Yeah, as I said, this was originally a locksmith's vehicle, and a lot of stuff actually came with the vehicle that I repurposed. Mainly that little stainless steel shelf, this piece of the partition, the electrical box, and I put in a shoreline that you can plug in, and a small battery charger that will trickle charge the house battery, which sits right behind the driver's seat pedestal.
So there's your house battery, just right behind the driver's seat.
And under the passenger seat pedestal, I have an S-Bar D2 diesel heater. And that runs directly off the fuel tank. And there's a small 12-volt fan that blows across the heat exchanger, and it basically works just like the heater does in your house.
Right.
There's a thermostat, you set the temperature, and go to sleep. Wake up comfortable.
And it burns the fuel, taps right into your gas, your diesel tank, I'd assume.
It does, and it apparently burns maybe a gallon of diesel fuel in about a 24-hour period, so it's quite efficient.
Very efficient. $2 a day is cheap heat.
Okay, and stepping in order to conserve battery power, I made sure that all of the lighting is LED. And all right, this is the thermostat for the diesel heater. Here I put a small electrical panel that has 2 USB connectors and 3 12-volt plug-ins. You can charge a phone, an iPad, an electric razor. There's room for a voltmeter and pretty much anything else. Little food storage. And we have your standard fantastic vent fan.
Gotta have one of those. Plenty of headroom here too.
There's just about 6 feet.
Did you add any extra insulation?
The walls are fully insulated. I started with Frost King duct insulation and then put some formaldehyde-free foam insulation in there. There's foam blown into the ribs, and then it was paneled. In the roof I've got Reflectix, and it's covered with carpet. I basically kept these channels on the edges open so that I could run electrical wires anywhere I wanted in the vehicle in case I wanted to upgrade it, because I'm thinking about putting a roof rack on it and some solar panels.
So do you have solar?
I don't have solar at the moment. I'm thinking about installing solar. When this 12-volt battery goes out, I'll probably replace it with 2 6-volt golf cart batteries and probably put some solar panels on the roof. And I'm just trying to work out the aesthetics of putting another hole in the roof, running the wiring, and putting a panel in the ceiling to cover everything up with some foam in there to make it look nice.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. So the questions everybody wants to know are how to go to the bathroom.
Oh, very simple. I've got a toilet right here. And I also have clothing storage.
Yeah. So this is, boy, you got a huge amount under that bed. So you just use a porta potty and you fill it and take it and dump it down any toilet.
And you know, in a pinch, this sink works really well for recycling beer and excess coffee.
Right. It can do the job.
It actually vents, it drains directly outside. I've got a 7-gallon water tank here. This was a bowl I purchased for $10 and cut a hole in the bottom. And I've got a valve to close it so I can fill the sink. This hose here will allow me to refill this tank without removing it from the vehicle.
Right.
And the other thing I do is I carry a half-gallon Hydro Flask with me. This will keep a half a gallon of hot water hot for about 24 hours. So you go in a truck stop, fill it up, and when you get up in the morning, I've got hot water to get cleaned up and make a cup of coffee.
Right, and a simple hand pump. You just pull that lever.
Just pull, and it drains right out to the ground.
Those you can get those at Amazon for $20 or any marine store.
This is a small area here, you know, nothing special. You could cut up a brick of cheese or some fruit. I'm not much of a cook. But I do have a 12-volt Dometic CF25 fridge that's more than adequate for 2 people.
Mm-hmm. And so, do you have a stove inside?
I do. In fact, I've got a little extra piece of wood here that fits right in here. And then you can put a stove right here. We have everything to cook with that. And if you need some more table space, just a matter of, got room there. And then I have all my utensils on a magnet.
Very neat. It folds away, so you only use it a little bit a day, and then it's gone, and doesn't bother you the rest of the day.
Yeah, you put it all away, And of course I always carry a keg with me in case I need some microbrew. As you can see, I like craft beer.
Right, you and a lot of other people.
Yeah. And we'll just put all this away real fast.
So your kitchen just disappears.
And there we are. And we're all back to scratch.
Wide open space.
Now, one thing I did want to point out about this sink, there is a drain that goes outside, but if you come on outside, I got a 2.5 gallon tank that will fit conveniently in this wheel well here. And I've got a quick disconnect on the hose. So if you need it to contain your gray water, all you got to do is set it right in there, close the door, and you're good for as long as you need until you want to get rid of it.
And then you just haul it off to dump it anywhere that's appropriate.
Sounds like a plan to me, Bob.
Yeah.
And we'll just put that back.
So it either drains outside or into a container, whichever you choose.
Pretty much, yeah. And then one of the other things that I did, I put a fairly simple stereo in it, and I ran the auxiliary line right into this door panel here. And I've got a plug-in so I can plug my iPad in, and I've got all my music on the iPad, and I can keep it right next to me when I'm driving down the road in case I need to adjust something.
Right. So there's your whole home entertainment system right there, basically. Watch movies or play music.
And one other thing, I did put a, let's step up. I was bored one day, so I did put a switch so I have a map light. And pretty much other than that, one thing I would say about Mercedes-Benz is you'll buy these and the dash will be all banged up. These panels are available. All of the parts are available from Mercedes, and you can buy every little last nut and bolt individually. Unlike a lot of the Japanese manufacturers where you would need to buy a whole assembly, you can buy things pretty much down to the last nut and bolt from Mercedes-Benz.
Piece by piece.
Every little plastic trim piece is still available.
Good. That is plus. Okay, so you have porta potty for the bathroom, and how do you shower?
Generally, I like hot springs. I go to hot springs all the time. In fact, I carry this hot springs book with me right here. Hot springs of the Southwest. I also have one for the Northwest in Canada. I generally will go to a KOA for $5. Worst case scenario, I'll go to a truck stop. Gym memberships work great, but I've never had a problem getting a shower on the road.
Okay, so you're just
because I'm a pretty clean guy.
Right. And so how do you support yourself as you travel?
I'm retired.
You're retired.
I'm retired. I was a mechanic, I had a business, and I did okay.
Well, Robert, thank you so much for giving us a lot of good information on the Mercedes and showing us your home. I really appreciate it. And thanks so much for sharing your life with us.
Hey, thanks for making the video. That's cool, man.
Very good. So there you have it, everyone. We get to know all about the Mercedes Sprinter, and for you to decide if it might be for you. You get the terrific gas mileage. 23 miles to gallon is not unusual. You get a long life. 500,000 out of one of these early models is not unusual. They're in a lot of ways, they're amazing vehicles. However, you have to be aware that the maintenance can be very high unless you're doing the work yourself. If you're doing the work yourself, there's nothing beats a Mercedes Sprinter. If you're paying someone else to do the work for you, you may want to give that some thought, because the work will be expensive and hard to come by. Okay, thank you. We'll talk to you later. Be sure and like us on YouTube and share us with your friends and subscribe to the channel, and we'll visit with you later.